So my name is Joeaux Robey, and I am so excited to be here. If there was one person in the room, I would still talk about how much I love business and spirituality together. And yes, I think they both can work really, really well. I know a lot of people now that are doing their life calling that are making a very good living doing it. So it is something that you can absolutely do. And it's actually much more simple than you think. It may not be easy, but it's absolutely much more simple. So before I get started, I have a question for you. Actually, I have a couple questions for you. Why did the yogi go to work for the bank? Thank you. Because he had balance. So I'd like to know who's here, because this talk could go many different directions. By a show of hands, how many of you are here because you would love that you know your life calling and you would love to be able to make a living at it? Okay. And how many of you are here because you're already making a living at your life calling, but you'd really like to take it to the next level? Okay. And how many of you are here because you liked my leather jacket?
Oh,
here?
you know,
I'm going to see whatever Joy has to say. All right. So the rest of you, why are you here? I'm just curious. Oh, okay. That makes it even more fun. Yeah. Because, you know, my dream is that everybody could wake up every morning and do what they love to do. And it doesn't have to be a spiritual business. You can always bring your spirituality into your business. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. So who am I? This is my business, Solopreneur, S-O-U-L-O. I've been a solo, S-O-L-O-preneur my entire life. I've started many different businesses and I've sold them. And I usually get them to a certain point, like 6, 7 figures, and then I go on to the next one. I get really bored fast. As soon as something has a process, I'm usually out of there. The key is, though, in order to really make money at your calling, is to figure out what that process is so that you can hand it off to other people. And that's really when you start to make money. And yes, I am going to talk about making money as a spiritual business because I believe that spirit wants you to be abundant on every level. And that does include money. I mean, it takes money to do marketing. It takes money to have a business. It's the economy. It's the way that our world operates right now, anyway. So what happened to me was I really didn't know what my life purpose was, and I had a walk-in experience. Does anybody know what that is? Does anybody not know what a walk-in experience is? Okay. As Marilyn said yesterday, because she also had one, I never would have believed this is possible. But I literally woke up one day a completely different person. I went to sleep as a type A soccer mom, corporate executive for a marketing firm in Santa Monica, a big marketing firm in Santa Monica, and lived in Los Angeles, and woke up the next day literally not knowing who I was. I was in LA. The last thing I remembered was kind of hovering over my bed and looking at my husband, who was asleep. It was about 5 a.m. and I lived in right near the port of Los Angeles. And all I could hear was like noise. It was like my hearing was so accentuated. And oops, I didn't start this. I could easily talk for way too long. Yeah, so I didn't even, like, I had an innate ability come in that I wasn't aware of. And suddenly everything was loud and noisy. Within 2 weeks, I quit my corporate job. I had 2 kids in college. I was the breadwinner. My husband was like, what is happening? My family's like, she's having a nervous breakdown. Who is she? She's wearing tie-dye now. She's went from Ann Taylor to tie-dye and, you know, flip-flops, and she doesn't want to go to work. And then I met Marilyn Harper. And it's interesting how spirit works. And I really do believe that we create all of this in our world based upon our feelings. That's why it's so important for us to be in touch with our feelings. But so through a very synchronistic set of events, Marilyn was in Branson, Missouri. I'm from California. Like, I don't even know where Missouri is. You know, it's somewhere in the middle of the country. And she's in Branson, Missouri, and she's basically getting a download that Spirit is saying, you're going to go and do all of these events. And she's been working at this point for 10 years on her own, part-time, hasn't made more than $10,000 in a year, has a mailing list of like 800 people. And I'm here to tell you it was actually 300 because most of them were duplicates by the time I got with her. But so she shook her fist at God. Is it okay if I use the word God? Is anybody offended by that? Okay, because I do like God. God is good, orderly direction to me. So she shook her fist at God and she said, if you want me to do this, I need some help. Guess what? That same time, I was in LA having this nervous breakdown and quit my job and decided, you know, I think I'm going to sell my house and buy a motorhome. And I'm just going to hit the road. I work off the internet. I could make money anywhere. And my husband, my family are like, who is this person? And so I went to buy this motorhome and I actually got the woman that I looked at motorhomes so long that they brought in the closer. You know what I mean? Like the person who's like really going to muscle me into putting down my down payment and getting this motorhome. Well, that person happened to be the same person who opened up Marilyn Harper to Channeling Adironda. And that person leaned forward and said to me, you're not a marketer, you're a promoter, and you need to call Marilyn Harper. And so the rest is history. That's how we met each other and came together. I called Marilyn, and I mean, keep in mind, I don't know what channeling is. I watched The Secret. That's where I was. Like I remember I watched What the Bleep. You remember that film? And I thought, what? Like I did not get it at all. And when I called Marilyn and said, hey, this person told me to call you, her response was, do you want a session with Adironda? And I'm like, Ada who? Like I had no idea who she was. And that's how I fell into doing what I'm doing. If you would have asked me 20 years ago that I'd be doing this, I would have told you, what's that? Like I wouldn't have even have known how to define it. But as I started down my spiritual path, as I'm sure many of you can relate to, opportunities started opening for me. And this is the key. Tangela knows this. You just say yes. My heart was loving this spirituality. My heart was just like, I felt love for the first time. I didn't feel the stress of my corporate job. And I just started leaning in. And it didn't happen right away. I mean, I'm like 15 years in now, and now my business is in a really good place, but it took some time and some doing. So through that relationship, I did find my life purpose. It didn't happen right away, but I wouldn't have said that my life calling was what happened when I first started out. It started to unfold. And I'm going to show you like how it unfolded. And again, it's in your heart. Like, don't try to figure it out. Just learn to say yes to opportunity. So before I get going, I like to say that my divine essence is repurposing people and businesses. So people get to a point in their life and they're stuck. Like they don't know if they want to stay in the same job. They don't know if they want to stay in the same relationship. And what I've found is my skill and talent is to help people actually repurpose themselves. So I have a program online called Mission Possible, and I do have a special offer if anybody's interested. It's $100 off, and you can actually get it right there, Mission Possible, if you're interested. And it's an online program that I'll tell you more about later if you are the person who's looking to figure out what your life calling is. because that's where you start, is having an idea of that. Then I also do offer another program called Solopreneur Academy that we just now opened up enrollment for the year. It's a 12-month program. It's an intensive. It's like getting your associate's degree in online marketing, but it also comes with a mastermind program of like-minded people. And if you're interested in that, you can come talk to me later and I'll tell you more about that. But that's not why you're here. So I have another dad joke for you, even though I'm a mom. So why did the meditation teacher open a bakery? Why? Thank you. Because he wanted to make some dough while helping others rise. So the point that I'm trying to make with this particular example is that you don't have to have a spiritual business. You don't have to be a channel. You don't have to be a healer. You don't have to be a reader. You could be a dry cleaner. You could be an auto mechanic. You could be a nurse. You could be literally anything. And what I invite you to do is to take that spirituality into your work. And that's really understanding what your, whoops, let me go to that one yet. It's all about understanding your values. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But once you understand your values and you're clear on your mission, then everything just starts to open up for you. Your opportunities start opening up. And I'm here to tell you that you can never figure out something as amazing that will happen in your life as spirit will. Like, you can plan it, and I recommend that you do. But I also suggest you be totally open, because what happened for me in my life, I never would have dreamed of. All of the opportunities that came in, the ability to travel all over the world to every continent on the planet, I never would have dreamed that would have been part of my life. So let me tell you how big this industry is right now. This is like, if you ever thought about starting a spiritual business, this is the best opportunity ever. Thank you, COVID. Because what happened was people had to go inside, literally, and metaphorically, right? It caused them to ask themselves, who am I? And it created this whole industry in what we call the wellness industry. And even though this wellness industry is huge, it includes a lot of things like self-help. It includes, alternative healing. It includes mind, body, soul, if you think of it that way. It grew in 2022. It grew to a high of $5.6 trillion. That is a big industry, okay? Now they're saying that by 2027, it's going to grow by 8.5 trillion. And just to give you an idea of how big that is, the entire it's as large as the entire technology industry. That's big, okay? It rivals the healthcare industry, which is projected to reach 12 million. And it's now even bigger than the automobile industry. That's how much of an opportunity exists right now. I mean, there has never been a better time. So how do you tap into it? One of my favorite subjects. Be you. Be unique. Don't go copying other people. I see that. I can walk through the room, see this all the time. Be you. Figure out who you are. Be you. So, who are you? I love this image because this is what I want you to do. Like, you may be here. We all go through this when we start our business. Oh my God, someone's going to know more than me. Yes, someone is going to know more than you. Oh my God, they're going to think I'm an imposter. Someone might think you're an imposter. You're not there to help that person. You're there to help everybody else who showed up underneath that you may have just a little bit more information than they do. This is so important. I talk about this all the time with my clients. What are your values? You have to know who you are. I can tell you right now my values. It's got to be spiritual. It's got to be fun. I won't do it if it's not fun. I'm old enough now to know better. And it also has to be in integrity. And with those three values in mind, my business took off. It went in directions I mean, I have a high-end television recording studio in Branson, Missouri. Would I have ever had that if I planned it? Not in a million years. I was terrified of public speaking. Why would I ever get up in front of people, you know? Why would I ever get in front of a video camera? But because I said yes, and I was working with people who were in integrity and who were fun, it just started unfolding. What's my mission? My mission is to help you with your mission. It took me years to kind of figure that out, but I ask you as you go forward and think about your calling, what is your real mission? Like, what do you want to achieve in life? What do you want to do? And I challenge you to think big. Like, Spirit wants you to show up. The world needs us, light workers right now, to show up. And I just told you how big the industry is. There's plenty of people who are showing up really small. It's not any more effort to show up big. What's your why? This is so important. Why the heck do you want to do it? Because you know what? There's going to be times where there's no money in your checking account. There's going to be times when you're tired. You're up until 11 o'clock at night. You got to be back on the floor at 5. You're tired. You have to have a why that gets you through those moments. You've really got to find your passion to be able to do this. And then finally, and this is to me the easy part, but this is fishing. I call it fishing. You've got to go figure out, who are you selling to? You want them to open up your package, do your program, buy your service, and I'm going to show you that again, because watch these guys. You look, yeah, you know, because when somebody starts doing that, they start telling people about you. You actually stop marketing. They start marketing you. And I'm going to walk through a couple of examples of this in a minute. But if you have a life calling right now, I talk to people all the time, you know, I want to be a healer. For who? And do not say for the world. Yeah, maybe the whole world needs what you have, but you can't afford to market to them. Find the one person, and I remember when I went through this with Marilyn. I said, why should people listen to you? And she'd get upset with me. Because I'm Marilyn Harper, you know? And I'm like, yeah, but so what? You know, and if you drill down on your own life calling that way, like, find the one person, here's the key, that will pay you. Okay, your mom may love your services, your best friend may love your services, but find somebody who's actually going to give you money, because that's how you're going to build your market. And once you know who that one person is, do all of your marketing, all your communication as if you're talking to that one person. Because once you connect with that one person, that person's going to go, oh my God, have you met Joeaux Robey? She's so fun. She has Bitmojis on her website. You know, you're going to find your tribe that way. When you try to appeal to everybody, you come out like, you know, homogenized milk. You know, you're just sort of like, you know, like people look at you, they see your benefits, but they don't know why they should do business with you. I love this saying. It's actually credited with Elizabeth. Am I on screen? Okay. I forget that there are people out there too watching. Hi. So I love the saying. I saw that it was accredited with Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. But actually, I think the guy from the lead singer, Jerry Garcia from the Grateful Dead, first said it. You must be that person who does that thing nobody else does quite like you. Now, there's a reason why. I'm going to use Marilyn Harper as an example, and I have other clients, but she's my best friend and my favorite example. She does a lot of stuff. She's multi-passionate. My biggest challenge with her is reining her in, because ideas are the easy part. Anyone who's ever tried to start a business, like, you can come up with ideas all day long. They don't mean anything if you aren't able to implement them. And so Marilyn comes up with ideas, and then this show, I'll use this as an example. We had no idea, it's the first time we've done it. We had no idea who would be here. She does lots of different things. She could have done a table about how to channel. She could have done a table about holographic healing. Thank you, I'm selling you right there.
Thank you.
She could have done like one of our many adventure retreats that we do all over the world. She could have talked about anything, but I said, no, you need the swords, because I know nobody else has the selenite swords of light. And I also know that if we have a table amongst a bunch of vendors, people are going to walk right up to the table and go, what are these? And that's exactly what happened for you. And that's why we chose that. Like, you want to, when you figure out what your life calling is, and then you start to get out in the marketplace, you have to kind of look at yourself in the marketplace. Like, you're a great example, because I'm sitting there like looking at everybody's booths, and I'm seeing, and I hope I don't offend anybody here, but I'm seeing, you know, people sell stones. There's lots of readers. You know, there's lots of healers. And I'm just sort of glazing over. And then I see little light worker with a white tablecloth right in the middle, and there's just cards. I beeline for you. And I start talking to you. Now, this probably might not be your market, but you stood out. Like, you're different than everybody else in that room. And that's what you guys want to do. And then the key is starting that conversation. You'll find your market. Like, just dive in. Just dive in and start talking to people, because it's more about the interaction that you have. You're going to learn, you know, and remember, because I had it too. Oh my God, they're going to find out I'm a fake. What if they know more than I do? You know, we all go through that. Guess what? You're going to learn what not to say. You're going to learn what to say. You're going to learn how to move forward. So this is like for all my Reiki healers, okay? Reiki is awesome. It's amazing. Marilyn's a Reiki healer. She's a Reiki master. I'm a Reiki healer. Through Marilyn, I became a Reiki master. This is like such a great example, because right now, in a sea of Reiki healers, what makes you stand out? What makes you, why would somebody want to come to you? Like, do you specialize? You work with people who have addictions. You work with people who have back pain, you know, animal communicators. In a sea of animal communicators, what makes you different? Why should I come talk to you? Do you work with sock puppets, you know, as animals? Like, you want to find your thing, your niche that makes you different, because people, first of all, you only have a couple seconds to get somebody's attention. And if you're not interesting enough, or you're in the sameness, they're going to keep going until something gets their attention. It doesn't mean that the other person is better or more knowledgeable or anything than you. It just means you didn't get their attention. Another thing is, I'm just going to slip this in really quickly, because I hear this all the time. People, you know, I'll ask people, so do you have an email list? Are you marketing? Oh yeah, I send out an email once a week. I'm here to tell you, the more emails you send, the more money you will make. The more emails you send, the more money you will make. Because you're the squeaky wheel. You know, like, I don't like getting email, but I have people on my list, in my email box, that I've had for 6 or 8 years, that I bought something way back then, and all of a sudden they offer something new. Guess what? I bought it. And that's how it works. You've got to be the squeaky wheel. You have to be unique and authentic. Is this like sitting in for anybody? Yeah? Okay. How much time do I have? Oh, we don't know. I guess I got to get going.
20 minutes.
Okay. Balancing spirituality and business. Okay, so why did the yoga instructor start a business? Why? Because she wanted to stretch her potential and find some balance in her bank account. So the point is that, like, if you're a yoga instructor and you love yoga, or if you feel like that's your calling, definitely do it, but figure out a way to balance your values, your spirituality, your passion with something that is a well-known term now. You know, it's great that, you know, like, if you tell somebody I do quantum healing, they'll be like, what? Like, you know, they won't know what you do, and you'll have to explain it to them, right? But if you tell somebody I teach yoga, they know what you do. Now, what makes you different? The way that you do that is you share stories. So as you get testimonials, as you have a life story, maybe you got into yoga because you had an automobile accident and you found out that was the one thing that took that constant pain in the back of your neck away. Tell that story. Tell it right up front. That's the magic of heart-centered marketing. I mean, you can do marketing in so many different ways. You can do social media, email. You can do, like here, what we call belly to belly, where you go and you like talk to people. You can do so many different kinds of marketing, but what you want to do is you want to have that passion about what you do in however you do it. So what am I saying? Don't do YouTube if you don't like to be on video. It's going to come across. You're going to be like this. You're going to get 6 views. Nobody's going to watch your video. Don't do social media if you never go onto Facebook, or if you do, or Instagram, or if you do, hire somebody. Like, you don't have to do it. There are people out there that love it, that love you, that love what you do, that will help you. There's so many different ways to do marketing, but choose a way that you can be authentic and genuine and tell your story. This comes from HubSpot. 61% of marketers say that their success is due to them being authentic. You know what else it does? It makes it so easy. If you just get up and tell your story, you already know your story. You can get up, you can speak publicly, you can do all kinds of things that make it so easy. The other thing is that a big part, I'm not sure if you know this term, but engagement, a big part, like you can come to a show like this and have no engagement. You got to figure out like what is going to make people come and engage with you. That will boost your marketing by 30%. And that, just those 2 things alone will help you start to stand out, because most people will never even think about this. They'll just go put their stuff out in front of everybody. So I'm going to give you, while we have a little bit of time left, I'm going to give you a couple of real life case studies of businesses that were started that are now like 7-figure businesses. Okay, I mean, these people are making really good money. There's a company, to me, I love this story. Does anybody know about this company? I call it Fluffy. Yeah, it's actually FLFE. They're really good friends of mine. I'm an affiliate for them, and I love them. And I call them the Fluffy Boys, but for a couple of reasons. One is, and one thing you'll find about me is I'm always 1 foot in the grounded world and 1 foot out in the woo world. I like playing in both worlds because I like to watch the interaction. So the Fluffy Boys, one of the co-founders was a spiritual life coach, and he used the Power versus Force, David Hawkins, if you're familiar with that book, scale. If you're not familiar with it, in a nutshell, what it's about is they determined that all emotions are on a scale of 0 to, I think, 800. Enlightenment being 800. Love is like 600, I think, Marilyn, is that right? Yeah, 600. And then shame is the lowest. It's down like at 100. So what the founder of, I think it was Clayton, he was a spiritual life coach, and he figured out in his work of coaching people that he could help people find their blocks by simply muscle testing, using kinesiology. Does everybody know what that is? Okay. So by simply muscle testing, he could help people figure out their blocks, and then through the power of intention, help his clients release those blocks, right? Well, one of his clients was a businessman, and Jeffrey, and he said, wow, I wonder if we could help people like release blocks in their homes or in their businesses or with their water bottles, or now they're doing it in all kinds of ways. Well, the reason I love this business model is, so then the 2 of them came together, and now for $35 a month, you can subscribe to their service, and they will literally, they won't show anybody what it looks like. This is the part that cracks me up. It's like, I imagine it's a room with a pile of papers, but they pray over your address or your business address or your water bottle or whatever for $35 a month. I mean, I'm so simplifying this. If they heard this right now, they'd be like, take her affiliate license away. but I mean, I am like marketing for dummies, business for dummies. I always have to dumb it down so that I really understand what I'm talking about. And to me, this is like the pet rock of the woo-woo world. Not to say that it doesn't work. Okay, this is really important because if you were in Marilyn's talk yesterday, and if you ever come to any of our events, we are all about intention is everything. Everything starts with intention. Intention is energy. Energy is everything. So therefore, intention is everything. Okay, so the fact that you said, pray over my house, I'll pay you $35 a month. The fact that you said that is enough. You know, and do you need this service? No, you don't need it. You can do it yourself, but you're human. You know, suddenly you get something in the mail and your heart goes, you know, all of a sudden your life force went down on the scale, right? But if somebody, think of it like the guru in the cave, right? It's like they are your guru in the cave, preying on your property. And they made, you know, a 7-figure business out of this. That's pretty amazing, I think. So again, they knew their values, heart-centered. They wanted a heart-centered approach to business. They focus on 2 things. 1, they tell the stories of their customers. And 2, if you call their business, a person answers their phone because they know it's complicated. They know you're not going to get it. Like, do you get this diagram? This is their website, by the way. Like, what? Huh, I don't get that, right? You know, and most people aren't going to take that long to look at it. But if you call somebody, and if you talk to me and I tell you that it's the pet rock of the woo-woo world and it really works, you know, now you go, oh, I'll pay $35 a month. I'll tell you how well this works. And I was missing some money out of my business account, like a lot of money. And I really didn't know, like I'm looking at my sales, the sales are there, but I'm looking at my bank account, and this is happening over 10 months, and I'm like, this does not match up. I signed up for FLFE. 48 hours later, I get a notification from I have a lot of different businesses, but from one of my e-commerce gateways. And they say, there's a screenshot from my operations manager, and she's like, Joy, you know, our e-commerce gateway says that they owe us $500,000. 48 hours later, $500,000 is in my checking account. Does it work? I'm still subscribing. Another example I'll give you, this is another client of mine, Lee Carroll and Monica Marani, is tap into what's happening. So especially like all you channels, you know, like you're getting the messages, right? So COVID hit, and Lee Carroll realized in his own channeling that people were freaked out about healing. They didn't know who to believe, and especially like in the woo-woo world, do I wear a mask? Do I not wear a mask? Is the government telling me the truth? Are they not telling me the truth? You know, and they are like, you know, not knowing what to do. So what does he do? He starts he can't do live events anymore, right? COVID hit, that did away with all the live events for years. He can't do that. So he's like, what do I do, Joy? I said, let's stream it. So the studio, the first studio was born. Did I think I was ever going to have a studio? No, but I knew how to stream, and he knew how to create really high quality programs. So suddenly we were partners. His core values were deliver the messages of Cryon and create community. How do you create community with COVID? You get people online through chat, through Zoom. Now, he didn't do it through Zoom because he's a very private man. And if you know Lee at all, it's hard to even talk to him at an event. But I'll tell you what happened 4 years later. This is actually a show starting next month. It's going to be Wednesdays with Cryon. 4 years later, he realized that he had this huge market. We 10x'd his market through COVID. He already had a pretty good size one, but we 10x'd it. And now he has this presence where he's hit the road again, but this still exists. He did it by aligning his values with his message. And he was just being true to himself. He didn't want to go and do private sessions or one-on-ones or anything like that. That's not who he is. However, now that he's done this for 4 years, I finally got him to do intimate online group events. And those people, because he's limited his time, and time is, the value, right? He's now doing very limited. I think he only allows 50 people in for 10 times the amount of money. It's pretty cool, I think. Okay, another example, Marilyn Harper. So, you know she does the selenite swords. That's very showy. We like to do that because people are like, who is that little white-haired lady swinging those swords? And I'm here to tell you, she can't do that. She is not a physical person. I can't get her to walk a mile with me. And she's there like this. I've seen her stand on the chairs with 3,000 people. She's the real deal. So she also believes that everyone is a channel. Everyone should learn how to tap into their channel, even if it puts us out of business. That's her value. That's her genuine, authentic belief. So years ago, when we were traveling with Lee Carroll all over the world, we were traveling like 46 weekends out of the year, which was way too much. Again, thank you, COVID. We finally figured out that we needed groceries in our refrigerator for the first time. We had a program called How to Channel Even If You Think You Can't. Why? Because most people think they can't, right? So the title is like, okay. And then Marilyn said, not only that, but I guarantee you that if you do not channel by the end of our 2-day event, I'll give you your money back. I'm like, what? You can't do that. She said, trust me. So we did it. We've done this for 6 years, 8 years, 8 years. We've never given one person their money back. Why? Because we know that everyone will experience their channel. Okay, part 2 on this. So then Marilyn said, the challenge with channeling is it takes practice. And you need to practice with people. You can do it journaling, and you can do it by yourself all day long. But if you really want to be a channel that gets messages out to the world, you working one-on-one or in groups, you really have to practice with people. So she opened up the we opened up the Channelers Academy, which is a 12-month program where she actually pairs you with people, with partners, and so holds you accountable. And because of that, it's built this whole community of channelers that, like, Marilyn's like the mother hen, and they're like the little, little cute little hen, whatever, chicks, following Marilyn around. And they are amazing. I'm here to tell you, not only that, we let them come for free to our How to Channel Even If You Think You Can't event, which we have several times a year. Why? They're our best spokespeople. They come and they sell the Channelers Academy, which is like a lot more money than the How to Channel Even If You Think You Can't event. So those are just like a couple examples of how when you take your life calling and you lean into it, things just start opening up. How many minutes do I have? Okay, so your takeaway, my big message, be you. Like, figure out what it is. You are unique. You are amazing. Every single one of us is amazing. Don't copy other people. Like, I am somebody who just really doesn't believe in competition. I feel like the only time we have competition is when everybody's doing the same thing. But if you're doing something that is so you're so tied into your heart, it's so tied to your calling, you don't have any competition. You don't even think about competition. Tell your story. Like, if you have a life calling, usually when we have a life calling, it's because we were brought to our knees. Something happened that made us go, I'm not working this job anymore. Or I'm not, I did this career path because my mom and dad wanted me to do it, or, I mean, there's a lot of reasons, right? Like maybe you got sick. Marilyn actually had a near-death experience during COVID, the first year of COVID, and she ended up in the hospital, and she was intubated, and she, I'm sure at first she was like, what the heck is going on? But she was basically laying in a hospital with tubes coming out of her face holes, as Adirondack says. And she was trying to figure out, like, what's going on. Well, COVID had us restructuring our business to create all online courses at that time. And I'm a much better speaker in front of a teleprompter. Like, this is my teleprompter. I am not good at things off the top of my head. Like, Marilyn is really good at impromptu. And so I was loving COVID. Here I am, writing all these scripts. I got my teleprompter. I can be really smart because I know what I'm going to say next. And, I'm having a great time. Well, Marilyn's like dyslexic. She's reading all of her sentences backwards. And, we're all looking at her going, what's happening to this person? We'll just give you the bullet points so you can talk about them. Well, that caused her to not want to do her life calling, which was to get these classes at that time up online. It was, we do fight a lot in a really loving way. We're like sisters, and we were really pushing against each other's energy. And then she found herself in the hospital, and she was intubated, and she was asking, what is this about? Well, what is this about is sometimes you have to change. Sometimes you have to shift. And she had to shift, and she had to learn how to do what she was doing online. And now she embraces it wholeheartedly. I mean, we're doing a sitcom and all kinds of things in the studio. Share why you are doing this. Why am I doing this? I love you guys. I think that you are changing the world. I love light workers. If you ever watch my 5 minutes, if you ever watch any of my videos on my Solopreneur website, I always say, hey, light workers, because I know that the non-light workers, they're not going to watch me. There's other people who teach marketing and business and do consulting. But I love the people who are really trying to figure it out. I mean, basically what we're doing is we're trying to translate our language. That's all we're doing. So when people ask Marilyn, what do you do for a living? We, like I said, fly all over the world, inevitably sit right next to the Baptist minister who says to Marilyn, what do you do for a living? What are you going to say, right? We've learned, we've tested a lot of things. We had a lot of people stop talking to us. We had a lot of people move away at the restaurant. We tested it. Now we just say, you know what? We help people, we teach people to be happy. That's it. And then people will either say, oh, how do you do that? Or who couldn't use that? They leave us, but right away you understand, like, if the person is your market. And that is the key, I think, for all of us light workers in spirituality, is to learn how to speak the language. Like, don't stick with our language unless you're with your tribe. When you're with other people, test out other words. There's a lot of words in our dictionary and thesaurus that cover the same thing. Share why you're doing this. Find out, like, tap into what is your passion about. Talk to your audience. I know, like, I'm actually a complete introvert. I get drained by people. I come to an event like this and I will be in a fetal position in my bed tonight. Like, I get drained. Marilyn, on the other hand, I can't get her out of the room. If you were here yesterday, you probably saw me leave. It was one of the things we had to learn with each other. And Marilyn's like still floating around, But learn to engage with your audience in the way that you enjoy doing it. Like, be authentic. If I love doing videos, I think it's fun because no one talks back to me right from the video, But learn to do what you like to do. And then finally, and I think this is the most important, if you just figure out what your values are, and let your values guide you, like backwards, right? Stay true to your values, tell your story, share why you're doing this while you're engaging with your audience. If you just figure out what your values are, you're like 90% of the way there. And also, keep in mind, your values change. You know, when my kids were at home, my values were different. You know, now my kids are gone. You know, they don't really need me anymore, so my values are a little bit different. So just keep that in mind too. Look at that, 2 minutes away. So excited. Okay, remember this. And if you don't know your why, a great book is called, it's by Simon Sinek, and I just forgot what it's called. What's Your Why? I think that's what it's called. Yeah, it's a great book to help you figure out what your why is. We are so programmed and brainwashed from, you know, little children to believe that the world works a certain way that we don't always know what we're passionate about until all of a sudden it hits you and you're like, this is fun, this is amazing. So understand that people don't buy what you do. That's why when you list your benefits on a banner, they'll glaze over. They buy why you do it. They buy why you do it. Whether you tell that story visually or you tell that story in a story or it comes across with your graphics, your branding. Let's see, what else do I have? I forgot what I was going to say about that.
That's your logo.
That's my logo. So go back to this. So again, you know, Marilyn and I do a monthly webcast, which I highly recommend if you are doing any of your own business right now, that you do recurring, like you do something constant, whether it's monthly or weekly, daily, however you do it. You want to be there when people think you're going to be there. It's really important in marketing. So we do a monthly webcast that I would like to invite all of you to for free. The next one's coming up on 8/8, which is a really powerful one. It's the Lionsgate. And I forgot to put the QR code, but if you come back to our table and you just shoot the QR code on Marilyn's banner, you'll get invited to the 8/8 for free. And one of the fun things, we've been doing this since, you've been doing it since 2009. I've been doing it since 2011 with Marilyn. It's just a monthly webcast based upon the numerology. And it's just fun. It's just really fun. But one of the things that came out of the double digits was the three of us and my husband, who is the director and screenwriter. We had so much fun in the studio. We were laughing. In fact, my employees would come in. They're like, what are you guys doing in here? You know, because we were just laughing and having so much fun in the studio. And we started telling our stories, mine and Marilyn's story. We have our story is literally a sitcom. I mean, that's like how crazy it is that the things that we've been through. And my husband actually wrote a sitcom around it. Now we have like 6 episodes of Two Girls in a Galaxy. It only is being released through the double digit right now. So if you watch the 8/8, you'll see episode number 7, I think it is. And then it's going to get released through YouTube as soon as we have a whole season down. So that's coming. And then finally, so I just wrote my first book. Actually, I've written a few books with Marilyn. Yeah, but I just wrote my first book, and it's not officially released. And if you enjoyed this talk at all and you want to help me out in any way, I would love to have people who would like to read my book and get back to me within the next 60 days of what was helpful, what you didn't understand. I really want this book to help people. And so if you would, even if you want to just read it, that's okay too, because I think I have 20 copies left now, or maybe 15 copies at this point.
You have 3.
Oh, did you already have the book? Oh, okay, awesome. Yeah. So
there they are.
Do we have one, please?
yeah, and I would just like, I'm going to officially release it. We're going to launch it in August when the Solopreneur Academy opens up again at the end of August. And all I ask from you is just like, if I know there are errors, like you'll see in the front, it says first release. with errors. Like I know because as it was going off the press, I'm like, oh shoot, there's one, there's one. So I would just love for you to, go through it, proof it, anything that you find, send to me so that the next release can be better. And like if you have examples that I don't know about, I'd love to hear that. But yeah, and I think that that's it. Thank you so much.